Thank you very much. Chancellor Merkel, it is a great honor to welcome you to the People's House, the White House. Our two nations share much in common, including our desire for security, prosperity, and peace. We just concluded a productive meeting with the German and American companies to discuss workforce development and vocational training, very important words. Germany has done an incredible job training the employees and future employees and employing its manufacturing and industrial workforce. It's crucial that we provide our American workers with a really great employment outlook. And that includes making sure that we harness the full potential of women in our economy. My administration is in the process of rebuilding the American industrial base. A stronger America is in the interest, believe me, of the world as a whole. I reiterated to Chancellor Merkel my strong support for NATO, as well as the need for our NATO allies to pay their fair share for the cost of defense. Many nations owe vast sums of money from past years, and it is very unfair to the United States. These nations must pay what they owe. During our meeting, I thanked Chancellor Merkel for the German government's commitment to increase defense spending and work toward contributing at least 2% of GDP. I want to thank the Chancellor for her leadership in supporting NATO and its efforts in Afghanistan. This has come at significant cost, including the lives of over 50 German soldiers whose sacrifice we greatly honor. I also appreciate Chancellor Merkel's leadership, along with the French President, to resolve the conflict in Ukraine, where we ideally seek a peaceful solution. Most importantly, our two countries must continue to work together to protect our people from radical Islamic terrorism and to defeat ISIS. I applaud Chancellor Merkel for Germany's contributions, both civilian and military, as a counter-ISIS coalition member. We also recognize that immigration security is national security. We must protect our citizens from those who seek to spread terrorism, extremism, and violence inside our borders. Immigration is a privilege, not a right. And the safety of our citizens must always come first, without question. Over lunch, the Chancellor and I will talk about our economic partnership. We must work together towards fair and reciprocal trade policies that benefit both of our peoples. Millions of hardworking U.S. citizens have been left behind by international commerce, and together we can shape a future where all of our citizens have a path to financial security. The United States will respect historic institutions, and we will also recognize the right of free people to manage their own destiny. The close friendship between America and Germany is built on our shared values. We cherish individual rights, we uphold the rule of law, and we seek peace among nations. Our alliance is a symbol of strength and cooperation to the world. It is the foundation of a very, very hopeful future. Thank you.
Sehr geehrter Herr Präsident, meine Damen und Herren, es ist mir eine große Freude,
Great
hier
pleasure
heute im
and
Weißen Haus zu sein und mit
privilege to be
Präsident
here
Donald Trump
today in the White
ein
House together
erstes
with President Donald
persönliches
Trump
Gespräch zu
and
führen.
have a
Ich
first
habe im Vorfeld
personal one-on-one
dieses
meeting and an
Aufenthalts
exchange
immer
of
gesagt,
views.
es ist sehr viel
In the
besser,
period leading up to this
miteinander zu
visit,
reden
I've
als
always said it's
übereinander.
much,
Und
much
ich glaube,
better
das
to
hat
talk
unser
to one
Gespräch
another and not
gezeigt,
about one another, and I
dass
think our
wir
conversation
sowohl über die
proved this.
internationale Lage gesprochen
We
haben,
talked
als
about
auch
the
die
international
politisch mit
situation. We talked
ihren
about
Auszubildenden und
also
Wirtschaftsvertretern hatten,
apprenticeship
was
programs
die
when we met with
gemeinsamen
CEOs and
Interessen
apprentices
anbelangt.
around a round table.
So möchte ich
As
als
regards the
erstes
shared
noch einmal
interests
in
that we
die
have,
Vergangenheit gerichtet
let me
sagen,
look
wir, die
back
Deutschen, haben den
into the
Vereinigten Staaten
past.
von Amerika
We, the
sehr viel
Germans,
zu verdanken,
owe a lot to
insbesondere
the
auch
United
der
States of
wirtschaftliche
America,
Aufstieg
particularly
Amerikas
as regards
durch den
the
Marshallplan,
economic
der
rise
wirtschaftliche
of
Aufstieg Deutschlands
Germany.
durch den Marshallplan
This was
in ganz
primarily
besonderer
due
Weise
to the
möglich
help
geworden.
through the
Wir
Marshall
haben
Plan.
die deutsche Einheit
We were
gestalten
also
können
able
nach
to regain
Jahrzehnten
German
des
unity after
Einfriedens der Vereinigten
decades
Staaten
of
mit
the
Amerika,
United
zusammen mit
States
den
standing up
Alliierten,
for this
auch im
together
Blick
with other
auf
allies
den Kalten Krieg.
and
Und wir freuen uns heute
standing
als
by our
vereinigtes
side during the
Land
period of the Cold
in
War.
Freiheit
And
und
we are
Sicherheit
very
leben zu können.
gratified to know
Deshalb
that
bin ich auch
today
sehr
we can live
dankbar
in
für das
peace and freedom as a
Bestätigung der
unified
wichtigen
country
Rolle der
due to that.
NATO.
So I
NATO
was
ist
gratified to
für
know
uns
that the
von
President
großer
underlined
Bedeutung
how
und
important
wir
he
haben
thinks NATO
uns
is.
im
NATO
Mai
is of
bei der
prime importance for us, and it was not
festgestellt, dass auch Deutschland eine
without very good reason that
Verteidigungsausgaben
we
erhöhen
said
wird. Wir haben
during our
uns
summit meeting in Wales that also Germany needs to increase its expenditure. We committed to this 2% goal until 2024. Last year we increased our defense spending by 8%, and we're going to work together again and again on this. And we said that obviously defense and security has a lot of different assets and facets to it. On the one hand, it's supporting missions in Africa, for example. It's also promoting development assistance, but it's also helping missions in Africa, for example, in trying to stand up for their own safety and security. We continue to be in conversation. What was important for us today was that we were able to talk about Afghanistan, talk about what, as the President quite rightly said, the continuing mission of Germany in Afghanistan. I am very glad that the United States are intending to continue to commit to the Afghan mission as well. Together we fight against Islamist terrorism. Germany is going to step up its work and is going to continue its work in Afghanistan and also in Syria. We're going to monitor the situation there very closely. We're going to work on political solutions in Syria, but also in Libya, what we talked about. I am very gratified to know that the American administration and also the President personally commit himself to the Minsk process. We need to come to a solution of this problem. There has to be a safe and secure solution for Ukraine, but the relationship with Russia has to be improved as well. Once the situation there on the ground is clarified, Minsk is a good basis, but unfortunately we haven't made yet the headway that we want to, but we are going to work together with our experts in the next few months to come on this issue. I am also here in my capacity as G20 President. You know that we will be hosting the G20 the G20 summit, this year, and I'm very pleased that the President has committed to attending this summit. We're going to talk at some length over lunch about the issues. We say trade has to be rendered fairer. There has to be a win-win situation. We can talk about the details of that. We've already seen today when we had an exchange with our CEOs and also with our apprentices what sort of potential we can tap, what sort of potential our two economies have. It's very moving to see, particularly meeting with these young people, what sort of work towards the future is being done by our companies there. So particularly in this period where we are transiting from traditional manufacturing to Industry 4.0, capacity building, skills are so important, incidentally, not only for young people, but also for those who maybe have lost their jobs and need to be reskilled in order to find a job again. And that is an issue I know is very important for you here in the United States, but it's also important for us in Germany. So I can say there are a number of issues where we will continue to cooperate very closely on the level of our experts, but also on our level. We had a very good first exchange of views, so I'm very much looking forward to the talks we will have over lunch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll do a couple of questions. Mark Halpern.
Thank you. A lot of Americans now have anxiety, like 8 years ago, as the government here debates what to do about health care. So
gentleman needs to use a microphone.
Are those your part of the bottom line? Would you veto any piece of legislation that violated those? Madam Chancellor, that's for you. President Trump's got a different style than the most recent past U.S. presidents. I'm wondering what you think of that style. If you think it's good for the world, or if you've got any reservations. Thanks, both.
Thank you, Mark. We just have a really wonderful group of people meeting later. We met with 12 pretty much no's in Congress. You saw that a little while ago, and they went from all no's to all yeses. And we have a lot of yeses coming in. It's all coming together. We're going to have great health care. It's going to be passed, I believe, I think substantially and pretty quickly. It's coming together beautifully. You have the conservative groups, you have other groups, everybody wants certain things. In the end, we're going to have a great health care plan. Now, I have to tell you that Obamacare is a disaster. It's failing. I was in Tennessee. We had a tremendous crowd the other night, and they have half of the state is uncovered. The insurance companies have left, and the other half has one insurance company, and that'll probably be bailing out pretty soon also. They have nobody. You have many states where they have one, and you have a lot of places now where they'll have none. Obamacare will fail. It will fold. It will close up very, very soon if something isn't done. I've often said politically the best thing I can do is absolutely nothing. Wait 1 year, and then even the Democrats will come say, please, please, you got to help us. But it's not the right thing to do for the people. We have a great plan. We have a plan that's getting more and more popular with the Republican base, with the conservative base, and with people generally. The press has covered it very inaccurately. People are truly covered well, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be a model to be looked upon. I'll tell you after we're finished.
Ja, danke schön. Ich
Thank you
bin
very
hier
much.
als die Bundeskanzlerin
Well,
der
I'm here
Bundesrepublik
as
Deutschland.
Chancellor
Ich
of the
vertrete
Federal
die
Republic of
deutsche
Germany.
Presse
I
und
represent
ich
German
spreche mit dem
interests.
Präsidenten
I
der
speak
Vereinigten Staaten von
with the
Amerika,
President of the
der
United
natürlich
States,
auch zuvor
who,
das amerikanische
well,
Interesse vertritt.
stands up for,
Das ist
as is
unsere
right,
gegenseitige Aufgabe
American
und
interests.
ich
That
freue mich,
is
dass
our
wir
task,
freundschaftlich und
respectively,
sehr
and I
warmherzig
must
hier
say that
empfangen
I
wurden.
was very
Und ich
gratified to know
glaube,
the
wir
very warm
haben
and gracious
einen Weg
hospitality
geführt,
with
bei
which
dem wir
I've been
versuchen,
received here.
auch da, wo
We
es
held a
Unterschiede gibt,
conversation where we
die
were
Leute
trying to address
zusammenzuführen,
also those areas where we disagree, but to try to bring people together, try to show what is our vantage point, what is the American vantage point, and then try to find a compromise which is good for both sides, because we need to be fair with each other. Each and everyone is expecting from his or her leader that something good comes out of it for their own people. For Germany, I can say, well, people are different. People have different abilities, have different characteristics, traits of character, have different origins, have found their way into politics along different pathways, which, well, that is diversity, which is good. Sometimes it's difficult to find compromises, but that's what we've been elected for. If everything just went like that without problem, well, you didn't need politicians to do these jobs.
Frau Dunz.
Ms. Dunz, please.
Christina Dunz, Deutsche Presseagentur.
Christina Dunz from
Frau
the German press
Bundeskanzlerin,
agency.
mit Ihrer
Madam
Erfahrung
Chancellor,
aus der DDR äußern
given the
Sie immer
experience of the
Zuversicht, dass Mauern
DDR,
auch
you
wieder
are always
fallen.
saying that you are so
Für wie
confident that
gefährlich
walls
halten
can
Sie
fall
die
also.
Abschottungspolitik
For how
des
dangerous do you think this
US-Präsidenten
isolationist
mit
policy
seinen
of the
geplanten
US president
Importzöllen
is,
und
what
auch
with the
seiner
import
Einschätzung für die Europäische
tariffs that he
Unionsgemeinschaft?
plans, and also
Und
with
Herr
the fact that
Präsident,
he
ist es
doesn't
nicht
think
auch eine
the
Gefahr für
EU
Amerika,
doesn't
wenn America
deal
first
with the EU
die
in a very
Europäische
respectful way?
Union
And
schwächen würde?
Mr. President,
Und
America
was
first,
macht
don't you
Ihnen
think
eigentlich-
that
warum macht
this
Ihnen
is going
eigentlich
to weaken also the
Pressevielfalt
European
so
Union?
große
And
Angst,
why
wenn
are
Sie
you
so
so
oft von Fake
scared
News
of
sprechen und selbst Dinge
diversity
behaupten,
in the
die dann nicht
news and
belegt
in the
werden
media,
können,
that
wie
you
die
speak
Äußerung
so often
Obama,
of
aber
fake
die
news, and that things, after all, in the end cannot be proven? For example, the fact that you have been wiretapped by Mr.
Should I
Obama.
go first? Ooh. Nice, friendly reporter. Well, first of all, I don't believe in an isolationist policy, but I also believe a policy of trade should be a fair policy. And the United States has been treated very, very unfairly by many countries over the years, and that's going to stop. But I'm not an isolationist. I'm a free trader, but I'm also a fair trader. And our free trade has led to a lot of bad things happening. You look at the deficits that we have, and you look at all of the accumulation of debt. We're a very powerful country. We're a very strong country. We'll soon be at a level that we perhaps have never been before. Our military is going to be strengthened. It's been depleted. But I am a trader. I am a fair trader. I am a trader that wants to see good for everybody worldwide. But I am not an isolationist by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know what newspaper you're reading, but I guess that would be another example of, as you say, fake news.
Also ich möchte es einfach mal so sagen.
Well,
Erstens
allow me, if I may, to put
werde
it
ich
in the
hier
following
darstellen, wir
terms.
haben noch nicht ausführlich über die
We haven't
Wirtschaftsfragen
yet had time to
gesprochen, aber
talk
dass
at
die
a great length
Erfolg
about
Deutschlands
economic
im
issues, but
wirtschaftlichen
I would
Bereich, aber auch im
say
Bereich
that
auch,
the success of
Fragen von
Germany
Sicherheit
in the
und
economic
Frieden
area, but
immer
also
ein
on
Erfolg ist, der,
security and
bei dem die
peace,
eine Seite der deutsche
that
Erfolg
the
ist
success of
von der
Germans have
Medaille und
always
die
been
andere
one
Seite
where
der
the German
Medaille ist
success
immer
is
der
one
Erfolg der
side of the
Europäischen
coin, and the
Davon
other
bin ich
side of the
zutiefst
coin
überzeugt
has
und
been
das vertrete ich
European
nicht nur zu Hause und
unity
nicht
and
nur in
European
Brüssel,
integration.
sondern
That's
das
something of
vertrete
which
ich
I'm
natürlich
deeply
auch, wenn
convinced,
ich
and I'm not
Besuche
only
mache und
saying this
natürlich auch
back
hier
home, I'm saying this
in
here, I'm saying it
Washington
in the
und
United
in
United
Gesprächen mit dem
States and also here in
Präsidenten.
Washington in my
Zweitens,
talks
ich glaube,
with
dass
the
wir
President. Secondly,
Globalisierung offen,
I
aber
believe
natürlich
that
auch fair gestalten sollten
globalization ought to be
und dass
shaped
auch die
in an
Freizügigkeit
open-minded
der
way, but
Bewegung, zum
also
Beispiel
in a
innerhalb
very
der
fair way.
Europäischen
Freedom
Union,
of
ein ganz
movement
wichtiges
within the
Element
European
unseres
Union, for example, is a very important
Wirtschaftsfriedens
element of our economic
über
progress,
Jahrzehnte
of
ist. Die
peace,
europäischen Länder
has
haben
been for
Jahr-
many, many
jahrhundertelang
decades. The
gegeneinander
European
Krieg
countries
geführt.
for many, many
Und
centuries
dass wir
waged
dann, wenn
wars
wir
against each
unsere
other.
Außengrenzen schützen müssen,
We
einfach
have to
im gegenseitigen
protect
Interesse
our
mit unseren
external
Nachbarn
borders
arbeiten
because,
müssen.
and there we have to
illegale
work
Migration
on the basis of
muss,
mutual interest with our
natürlich,
neighbors.
geordnet gesteuert
Migration,
und die Schlepper
immigration,
müssen gestoppt
integration
werden.
has
Aber
to be
meine
worked on.
Überzeugung ist, dass
Obviously,
wir dies im Blick auf die
traffickers have to be
Flüchtlinge tun
stopped, but
müssen,
this has
dass
to
wir
be
dies tun müssen, indem wir
done
den Flüchtlingen vor
by
Ort
looking at the
Lebenschancen
refugees as
geben
well,
müssen,
giving them
indem wir
opportunities
den
to
Ländern
shape
helfen,
their own
die
lives
heute
where
nicht
they
in der
are,
Lage sind
help
oder in denen
countries who
Bürgerkriege herrschen.
right now are not
Und
in an ability to
diese
do
Art
so,
des Herangehens, glaube ich, ist
sometimes
die
because they have
richtige
civil
Art.
war. I think that's the
Und
right way of going
darüber
about it,
tauschen wir uns
and this
natürlich
is
auch aus,
obviously
aber
what we
ich
have an
kann
exchange of
hier
views about.
meine Position Ihnen sagen
But
und
my
so
position
ist es
is the one that I've just set out for you.
I might add that we have many plants and factories coming back into the United States. Many jobs are coming back to Michigan, to Ohio, to Pennsylvania, to a lot of places where they were losing jobs. And we will have a different policy, but it's going to be a great policy for not only the United States, but a great policy worldwide. And I look very much forward to it. Kevin Cerulli.
What areas of common ground do you think you'll be able to have with German governments? And then Chancellor Merkel, what do you anticipate could be a concession points that you would be willing to give to the administration in terms of that negotiation?
Well, Kevin, I think we have a very unified Republican Party. After all, we have the presidency, we have the House, we have the Senate. And we're getting along very well, I will tell you. And if you were at the meeting that I just attended, where we took 12 no's or semi-no's, no yeses, and within a short period of time, everybody was very much on board. And a commitment to vote yes. I think we have a very unified party. I think actually more unified than even the election. You see, when they talk about me, I seem to be very popular, at least this week, within the party, because we have our highest numbers, the highest numbers that I've ever had in the party. So I think there's a great unification. Healthcare is a very, very difficult subject. It's a very complex subject, and it's a subject that, goes both ways. You do something for one side, and the other side doesn't like it. But it's really something that's come together very well, and I think it's going to be very, very popular, extremely popular. On trade, with Germany, I think we're going to do fantastically well. Right now, I would say that the negotiators for Germany have done a far better job than the negotiators for the United States. But hopefully we can even it out. We don't want victory, we want fairness. All I want is fairness. Germany's done very well in its trade deals with the United States, and I give them credit for it. And I can speak to many other countries. When you look at China, you look at virtually any country that we do business with, it's not exactly what you call good for our workers. I mean, you look at the horrible NAFTA transaction. NAFTA has been a disaster for the United States. It's been a disaster for companies, and in particular, it's been a disaster for the workers. A lot of the companies just moved. But the workers are screwed. It's probably the reason I'm standing here. Maybe number one, that, and maybe the military. Building up our military, which we will do, and we will be stronger than ever before, and hopefully not have to use it. But we will be stronger, and perhaps far stronger than ever before. But it's probably the reason I'm here, is when you talk about trade. So I think that we are going to be a very different country. I think we're going to have great values, but in terms of our military, it's going to be much stronger, and our trade deals are going to be good, solid deals, not deals that lead to closing plants and tremendous unemployment. Okay? Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Wenn wir über Handelsabkommen sprechen,
When we
dann
speak about
verhandelt
trade agreements, then the European Union is negotiating those agreements for all of the member states of the European Union. But obviously there's also input by the member states. They bring to the table what's important to them. We have underlined as German industry, German business community, and have made the experience that any kind of agreement that we have concluded, for example, at the very latest with South Korea, brought us more jobs, actually. People were very much concerned about losing jobs, for example, the automotive industry, but in the end it turned out, particularly as regards South Korea, in the end it turned out that both sides benefited. And I think it's only fair. That's the purpose of concluding agreements, that both sides win. And that is the sort of spirit, I think, in which we ought to be guided in negotiating any agreement between the United States of America and the EU. I hope that we can resume the agreement that we started. We have just now concluded our agreement with Canada, and I hope that we will come back to the table and talk about the agreement between EU and the US again. Mr. Graf, please. Thank you, Ansgar Graf from Die Welt. Madam Chancellor, a question addressed to you. Today we're talking about trade. The President in the past always said that he doesn't like multilateral trade agreements but prefers bilateral trade agreements. Do you think from the EU's point of view TTIP is a bilateral agreement with Washington on one side, the EU on the other side? Now, is the problem that America, the President of the United States, and the Europeans have a basically different understanding of what the EU is all about? That's my question addressed to you. And Mr. President, my question addressed to you, if I may.
Rejected White House claims that the alleged wiretapping on you, on the Trump Tower, on Trump Organization, or on members of your campaign was that British intelligence was either responsible for it or involved in it. After these claims are rejected, what is your take on that? Are there other suspects, or do you think it was a mistake to blame British intelligence for this? And by the way, my second question: are there from time to time tweets that you regret in hindsight?
Very seldom.
Very seldom,
Very
and
seldom.
you would have, so you never would have
Very
wished
seldom.
not to have
Probably
tweeted
wouldn't be here
something.
right now, but so very seldom. We have a tremendous group of people that listen, and I can get around the media when the media doesn't tell the truth, so I like that. As far as wiretapping, I guess, by this past administration, at least we have something in common, perhaps. And just to finish your question, we said nothing. All we did was quote a certain very talented legal mind who was the one responsible for saying that on television. I didn't make an opinion on it. That was a statement made by a very talented lawyer on Fox. And so you shouldn't be talking to me, you should be talking to Fox. Okay?
Thank you.
Ja, ich glaube, dass der Präsident seine Philosophie dargestellt hat, was
The President has clearly set out his philosophy as to what trade agreements have to bring about for the American side as well. I personally don't think that Germany needs to negotiate and not the European Union. We've devolved our competences to the European Union, so the European Union, or rather the Commission, negotiates on behalf of the member states. So that's not going to prevent us from concluding agreements. For me, indeed, this would be then qualify as a bilateral agreement between the EU and the United States if we had it. But the question is, will it be of benefit to both countries or not? And let me be very honest, very candid. A free trade agreement with the United States of America has not always been all that popular in Germany either. There have been less demonstrations against this free trade agreement in the United States than in Europe and also in Germany. So I am very glad to note that apparently the sort of perspective on that has changed a little bit, at least in Germany too.
Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
I can.
Yes. I think that's right, Lester. We saw a little bit of a wiretap dance here, I guess, from President Trump. Effectively, he's alone on an island.